On one block, a Wall Street banker earns $2.6 million a year. On the next, a public school teacher wonders how to stretch their paycheck until Friday. This is New York, the city of billionaires and baristas, side by side. But why does the richest city in America leave so many of its workers broke? Subscribe to the Money Manual, because in this series, we don't just talk about money. We uncover the hidden forces shaping your financial life. New York City is marketed to the world as a place where money never sleeps. Wall Street skyscrapers, luxury boutiques, and penthouses high above Central Park paint the picture of endless success. To outsiders, New York looks like the ultimate dream, a city where fortunes are made overnight. But this glamorous image hides the fact that most New Yorkers are not living in wealth. In fact, millions are struggling to stay afloat. Behind the lights of Times Square and the soaring towers of Manhattan lies a stark reality. New York has more billionaires than any other city in the world, yet nearly 20% of its residents live below the poverty line. That's 1 in 5 New Yorkers fighting to cover even the most basic expenses. While Wall Street wealth dominates the skyline, daily survival is the true story on the ground. The contrast couldn't be sharper. The pay gap in New York is staggering. The average salary in finance is around $200,000 a year, while workers in restaurants or retail often make less than $50,000. These two groups often share the same streets, subways, and neighborhoods. Yet their financial realities couldn't be more different. In New York, you can meet someone struggling to pay rent and someone earning a bonus larger than most people's lifetime savings, all in the same coffee shop. That's the paradox of this city. So how did New York end up with such extreme inequality? The city's economy heavily favors finance, tech, and law, industries that concentrate profits in the hands of a few. At the same time, service jobs that keep the city running, from teachers and nurses to delivery workers, are undervalued and underpaid. This imbalance creates two very different versions of New York, one of privilege and one of struggle. And the gap between them grows wider every year. Every day, millions of New Yorkers get up to do the jobs that keep the city alive. They make the coffee, drive the subways, clean the buildings, and care for children and the elderly. Yet many of these workers are earning wages that barely cover rent, let alone savings. While their labor powers the city's economy, they remain nearly invisible in the financial conversation. Without them, New York wouldn't function. But they rarely share in its wealth. Nowhere is New York's pay gap more obvious than in housing. Whether you're a banker or a barista, you're competing for the same limited apartments. And rent is brutal. The average rent in Manhattan has soared past $4,000 a month, making it one of the most expensive markets in the world. For a high earner, it's manageable. For a teacher or restaurant worker, it's impossible without sacrifices, roommates, or second jobs. Housing turns inequality into daily reality. Housing is only the beginning. In New York, groceries cost nearly 30% more than the national average. Childcare can easily run $2,600 per month, eating entire paychecks. Even transportation, subway fares, tolls, car insurance drains wallets faster than in most U.S. cities. For workers outside of high-paying industries, every paycheck feels like a race against the city's rising costs. For decades, New York was a place where middle-class families could thrive. But today, that middle is disappearing. Teachers, nurses, and small business owners, people once able to build stable lives here, are being pushed out by rising costs. Many are moving to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or farther, trading the dream of New York for financial survival. The city is slowly becoming a place of only two classes, the rich and the struggling. New York's inequality isn't hidden. It's visible on every street corner. A luxury boutique selling handbags for $6,000 can sit 1 block away from a food pantry serving hundreds of families. Homelessness shelters exist just steps from million-dollar condos. Few cities in the world put wealth and poverty so close together. In New York, the extremes live side by side, and everyone sees it. Living in New York under this pressure isn't just about money, it's about mental health. When the city constantly glorifies wealth and success, those struggling feel invisible or left behind. It's exhausting to work 2 jobs and still see no progress while surrounded by unimaginable wealth. Many New Yorkers quietly carry the stress of debt, insecurity, and shame. The pay gap doesn't just widen wallets, it widens wounds. With all these struggles, you might wonder why people stay in New York at all. For many, it's opportunity. There's no other city in America where so many industries and dreams collide. For others, it's the culture, The diversity, the energy, the history. And for millions, it's simply home, the place where their families and communities are rooted. Despite the challenges, the pull of New York is powerful enough to keep people fighting to belong. But let's be clear, someone benefits from New York's inequality. The city's high earners rely on low-wage workers for everything, from food delivery to childcare to transportation. The gap keeps the city running. It subsidizes the lifestyles of the wealthy. Every late-night meal, every Uber ride, every coffee is built on the labor of someone struggling to survive. The system works, but only for the few at the top. If New York's pay gap keeps growing, the consequences could be irreversible. The middle class could vanish completely, leaving only the wealthy and those barely surviving. That's not just bad for families, it's dangerous for the city's identity and stability. A city once built on dreams could turn into a city of extremes, where opportunity is a myth. The future of New York depends on whether it can bridge the gap. New York's pay gap isn't just about statistics, it's about people. It's the teacher who can't afford to live near her school. It's the parent working 2 jobs just to cover rent. It's a city that looks like wealth but often feels like struggle. The paradox of New York is this: the richer it gets, the harder it becomes to live here. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to the Money Manual. Because the more you understand the forces shaping our economy, the more power you have over your own financial story.